League of Legends is filled to the brim with a ton of hidden gameplay mechanics that can completely alter how you're supposed to play. And for some reason, you're just supposed to know about them somehow. And unless you spend hours on the wiki every night reading up on how turret plates actually fortify towers even more based on the amount of champions around, then you may never know about them. Well, unless you scroll through an endless amount of shorts. In this guide, we're going to teach you about some of the most important macro mechanics most players don't know about. Just by watching and learning what you're missing, you will immediately become a much better player. Your decision-making to get advantages on the map will improve drastically, you'll stop making game-losing mistakes you don't even know you're making, and everyone on your team will think you're the smartest player around. So let's begin with our first mechanic, which is without a doubt one of the most important macro concepts in the game, and something we talk about a lot on this channel. If you find that you constantly get advantages in the early game, and then out of nowhere your lead is gone, the enemy team is somehow up in levels over you, and you're randomly on the back foot now, then listen up. As one of the many hidden macro mechanics is the fact that minions actually grow stronger when you have a level lead over your opponents. How you can see this is just by panning your camera to a minion wave, click on a minion, and whichever side has a percentage buff on the top here is the stronger wave. Funnily enough, Riot added this back in the day as a way to help the winning team close out games. Technically, it makes sense, right? Stronger minions means you get to push aggressively and take more towers to open up the enemy base. But ironically, it achieved the complete opposite, and it's now one of the dumbest and strongest comeback mechanics in the entire game. As when you're ahead, it means your waves are going to naturally push towards your opponent. So not only are you losing gold and experience when you leave lane, but your opponent is being handed minions on a silver platter. This is why as the winning team, you should try to avoid overgrouping and always aim to aggressively push outside lanes as much as possible. Whereas if you're on the losing side, you can afford to group a lot more, because even if you leave a pushing wave like this way here, it really doesn't matter, as if you look at the minimap, it's actually pushing back to him the entire time. So he can afford to go ARAM for a bit, even grab a wave there, and then head back to bot after while barely losing any minions. And if you've ever wondered why games can feel so random, it's usually because you're missing hidden mechanics just like this one, which is exactly why we built our mechanics course, where we expose even more of these hidden mechanics that can completely change the way you see and play the game. We're talking about simple tips and tricks that almost nobody in low elo even realizes exist, but once you do, they feel like absolute cheat codes for climbing. And that's just the start, because with SkillCapped's brand new commentary page, you can pick your champion, even the exact matchup you struggle with, and watch as some of the best players in the world walk you step by step through how to carry on your champion in your elo, breaking down all the hidden tips, tricks, and secrets you've been missing. Plus, they're, let's just say, compelled to answer every single one of your questions, making sure you have everything you need to start climbing right now. And we're so confident in that, we've backed it up for over a decade, as if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, you get every penny back, no questions asked. So click the link in the description below to gain access to a special one-time discount and get the rank you've always wanted this season. And speaking of hidden minion mechanics, Riot even slipped one in specifically to prevent mid laners from roaming too much. Everyone knows mid lane used to be the role, aside from jungle obviously, that impacted the entire map the most. But to tone that down, Riot added an invisible change. Midlane Cannon minions attack towers 30% faster compared to other lanes. What this means is simple. If you're a mid laner, tracking cannon waves becomes even more important. And if your opponent makes the mistake of roaming on one, that's your cue to punish them by cashing in on all those free tower plates. Now, you may have heard this before, but a level up is worth 600 gold worth of stats in health, armor, magic resist, attack damage, and so on. But it's not just the stats, it's the ability rank ups too. That being said, not all level ups are created equal. No one is excited to hit level 14 on Jinx, while on the other hand, hitting level 16 on Kayle is a massive turning point in the game. So here's another crucial mechanic you want to be aware of to help you manipulate your team's level ups. Most of you are obviously aware that killing Baron gives you a hefty amount of EXP, but it's actually split in 2 different ways. First, the entire team will get 600 experience no matter where they are on the map, but then Baron will also split 800 more amongst everyone within 2,000 units of the objective. For reference, this is the area you need to be in for the shared experience. You absolutely need to pay attention to what champions your teammates are playing and who should be part of receiving that 800 experience. Like this Karma helping at Baron. Not only is she not helping speed up the kill by all that much, but she's also sitting here sharing the EXP. That is terrible considering she has a level 15 Orianna who would love to hit her level 16 power spike as quickly as possible. Some champions just get way more out of level ups than others after a certain point. So if you're a support, or maybe you've already hit the level you needed, you may want to step away from the Baron before it goes down. This way your teammates who can make much better use of the shared EXP can hit their power spikes much faster. And another Baron tip that many players don't know is that Baron's basic attacks apply a debuff called Gaze of the Baron to the closest target, causing them to deal a whopping 50% less damage to Baron. This was put in place to stop some champions from easily soloing it.
Indeed, a wise choice.
But if your team doesn't play around it, this debuff can massively slow down how fast you secure Baron. High damage melee damage dealers should actually step back slightly and let the lowest damage dealers or tanks move closer to take the debuff instead. And this isn't just about speed. If your jungler is the one tanking, comboing abilities with their smite becomes way weaker, giving them a massive disadvantage in smite fights. On top of that, Baron also has Aura of Destruction. This applies a debuff stacking up to 100 times from anybody hit by its abilities, with each stack shredding 0.5 armor and MR. While this effectively drains over 2,000 gold worth of stats, luckily it takes a pretty long time to fully stack on anybody other than the person tanking it. But that aura is nothing compared to the power of Atakhan. Why you see so many games being thrown over this guy is for one simple reason, that being the Frail and Unworthy debuff, which is the same 50 armor and MR shred, but in half the stacks. And unlike Baron, this stacks up ridiculously fast, as not only does he apply a stack to everybody in the pit every couple of seconds, if you get clipped by either his frontal bolt attack or AoE ring ability, it's immediately over for you, as you instantly gain 5 stacks every single time it does damage to you. This is why you always want to fight around Atakhan, even if you're massively behind, as the longer you can force your opponents to tank it, the more armor and magic resistance they're going to lose, allowing you to win what might, to the naked eye, seem like the most one-sided fights possible. And there's even more comeback mechanics just like this built into objectives. Like, did you know, for every subsequent dragon your team takes, the next one will deal 20% bonus damage and take 7% less damage? This not only gives you more time to contest if you're the losing team and makes it more dangerous for the enemy to continuously tank, but it also makes going for smite steals a lot more effective, as if you're combining an ability with your smite, you have the potential of doing a lot more damage than the enemy jungler. There really is so many random mechanics with objectives that most players don't know. For example, although everyone knows that if you kill one Void Grub, the rest will heal, you still always want to squeeze out as much AoE damage as possible, because after healing up, the remaining Void Grubs will deal true damage to themselves equal to the amount they just restored, spread over the next 10 seconds. So while you can't one-shot all 3 at the same time, champions like Lilia, Amumu, Brand, or Karthus can clear them incredibly fast by hitting all 3 at the same time. Or how each Drake, despite having the same health, range, armor, MR, and movement speed, with the exception of Mountain, which has slightly more resistances, all have varying attack damage and attack speeds, making some far stronger than others. This is especially important for junglers trying to sneak in an early Drake, as the most deadly ones are the ones that have the fastest attack speed. This is all due to the Dragon Breath buff, as the faster they attack, the more they're going to proc the on-hit. This makes Cloud Drake the most dangerous overall, and Chemtech the scariest the lower it gets, as it gains up to 200% increased attack speed, which if he knew, I bet this Emerald Kayn would have thought twice before trying to solo it. But for this poor guy, it only gets worse, as Kayn, like many other players, doesn't know about yet another one of Riot's hidden mechanics, Death Homeguards, and makes another costly mistake right after. Whenever you die before 14 minutes, you get a buff extending your regular Homeguard's duration. The difference between this and the regular Homeguards is massive. With the standard ones, you can make it to just past your inhibitor, but with Death Homeguards, you get the speed boost all the way back to your outer turret. However, Riot added hidden barriers to nerf this, and you lose the movement speed the second you pass one of them. This is why if you die as a jungler and want to get back to your camps as fast as possible, you should always run through the lane and not the jungle. But moving on, anyone here who loves playing engaged champions, where you fully commit into the enemy team, this tip is for you. Annoyingly so, a huge issue that many engaged champions have to play around in League is that they need some way to survive after going into the middle of the enemy team. Any Lee Sin player knows exactly what we mean. It's the best feeling in the world landing a crazy kick on a carry back into your team, but now you're trapped in the middle of 4 players with no mobility left, and you're probably dead too. Every engaged champion shares this problem. If you EQ forward to use your ultimate as Jarvan, then you're now likely stuck in the middle of a bunch of angry enemy players. To get around this issue, you usually have to do some sort of awkward combo to both engage and stay alive, but this can limit your options, and it's not always possible to pull off. Most of you have definitely seen clips by now of players using the Rift Herald in the middle of a fight to cause some chaos, but these aren't just silly clips. Pro teams are constantly looking to use Herald in fights because it provides you with so many options of playing the encounter out. You shouldn't think of it just as a tool to push towers. Its utility in fights is amazing as well. Obviously, it can be a bit awkward to place it before engaging though, unless you know this following trick. Many players always use Herald before it runs out, so you may not know that it won't go to waste if you don't use it. If you let the timer run out, Herald will just spawn immediately without having to be summoned, and even if you did know that, you may not know how to perfectly time it. When you get this void animation on your character, take a look at the game time. In exactly 15 seconds is when Herald will spawn no matter what you're doing. Zed, knowing this exact timer is aware that the enemy team is doing Atakhan. Trying to stop it on his own will be hard, so he goes for a crazy solo play, but because he knew the exact time Herald would spawn, he always had a get out of jail free card to escape. And thanks to all the chaos he caused, he stopped his opponents from doing Atakhan, giving his team time to regroup. Now, as you just saw, trying to contest an objective with no vision is pretty annoying, as you're all aware of. Denying your opponent's vision prior to starting an objective is a fundamental everyone in the world can agree is really important. And there's another void mechanic that can help you do so. Most players have learned by now that at 25 minutes, the red and blue buff upgrade to their void versions as Baron spawns on the map. Usually, it's a good idea to wait to take the buffs until they upgrade, because the void versions give your entire team either red or blue, which is really useful. But there's another jungle camp that transforms, the Scuttle Crab. What's interesting is the void creature's fascination with the number 15, because the Scuttle doesn't immediately transform at 25 minutes like blue or red buff. Instead, it waits around 15 seconds to be corrupted. So, if you're contesting Baron, Atakhan, or Dragon at around 25 minutes, don't kill that Scuttle Crab until 25 minutes and 15 seconds. The vision and vision denial it provides is game-winningly strong, and remembering this timer will help you take much better control over objectives in the future. And when it comes to denying vision, support players especially will already know just how annoying Scryer's bloom can be. But there's more to these plants than you might think. Clever and observant players will already know how that when one of these is set off, you can always see it on the minimap regardless of fog of war, which is useful information as it obviously indicates that somebody was there to set it off, allowing you to track the jungler or maybe guess where a laner roamed to. But here's the crazy part. You can actually tell exactly which player on the enemy team set it off, as if that cone of vision hits you, you get a debuff, and by mousing over it, it will tell you exactly who set it off, which can give you and your team insanely valuable information. And on the topic of hitting things on the map, we all know just how important Atakhan flowers are, but did you know their true value? Bloody petals give you two things, gold and experience, with each petal giving you adaptive force based on the amount of stacks you have. Starting off, you'll gain around 20 gold of stats per petal, but since this is a team-wide buff, it means each flower is worth around 100 gold, with these big ones being worth triple that, which is the equivalent of an entire kill's worth of gold just from a single flower. That being said, the value goes down over time, but what doesn't go down is experience you gain. Each flower gives around a base of 20 experience, but something nobody knows is that this can double the worst you're doing, as based on how bad your KDA is, the petals can give up to 40 experience. But while bloody petals are all about team value, Infernal Cinders are more of a secret personal jackpot. As you probably know, these spawn every time you get an Infernal Rift, but what you might not know is that every single one you pick up gives you 1% haste, which to put into perspective is 50 gold worth of stats. And that's not even the best part. For every 25 you collect, you also gain an increasingly bright glow. So you're not only getting stronger and moving faster, but you're literally going Super Saiyan. And for our final tip, we figured why not throw in a 2-for-1. This is a strategy 99.99% of the player base would never use, but can actually give you an insane advantage if you use it properly. First, we have to talk about local tower gold. All of you know that towers give gold in two ways when taken down. First is the team-wide gold that everyone gets. It's not much, but it's something. But the more important part of the tower bounty comes from the local gold. There's no greater feeling than getting the money from a tier 2 side lane tower all to yourself. Local gold is a huge thing to play for, but something you should also be looking to deny. As Zed TPs in here, he pushes Twisted Fate away and notices his low health tower. A lot of players instinctively defend low health towers, but it's often better to just let them die to minions. This way you're denying the local gold from your opponents forever. But like we mentioned, this is a two-part tip, and it all goes back to our initial minion buffing technique at the start of the video. You see, minions don't just get stronger based on your team's average level lead. They also get stronger based on the tower advantage in a specific lane. But it's pretty simple. Let's take a look. In this custom game, Misfortune has a level lead over the enemy Xayah, so her minions are stronger, as we've touched on. Then, as she destroys the tower, the wave immediately gets the second part of the buff, since she now has a 1 tower advantage in this lane. But if we look bottom, the wave hasn't gotten stronger since there's no advantage there, which brings us back to this Zed game. Zed's team had a level lead this game, so there's a second benefit to letting his tower go down here. When he takes Twisted Fate's tower a little later, there is no tower advantage. Each side is 1 tower, so the minions don't get stronger. This way, he's not going to lose as much side lane farm as he would have otherwise this game. By the way, this is why you shouldn't feel too bad if you're in a losing game and your towers keep going down. Enemy waves are just getting stronger, which means more minions coming into you. Oh, and tower disadvantages don't matter if you're winning. So for a little while there, Zed's team had a level lead but a tower deficit in bot lane. This doesn't mean his minions get weaker. There's no change whatsoever. It only matters when there's an advantage with a level lead. As you can see, League is filled with tons of little mechanics that can give you an edge over everyone in your games just by knowing about them. What's the coolest hidden mechanic you know about? Let us know in the comments. And remember, at SkillCapped, we teach you all these little things and the fundamentals to improve alongside them, so you can climb faster and easier than everyone else. If you want access to the best educational platform in the league, scene, then click the discount link below to sign up. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.